Right. Got some great ideas here. Heard many modern feminists say, you know what? We should just get rid of all the men. Well, how so? How are we going to do that equally? Well, how about instead of getting rid of them all, we just divide a line in the center of the United States, half the land on one side, half the land on the other. We let women pick which side they want, and they can have it. They can have a man-free society. Well, honestly, we should try it. Imagine if we made every other town so that one town was for men, one town was for women, one town was for men, one town was for women. Well, you might say, well, that's unfair. That's unfair. The men have all the construction jobs. The men are the ones who know how to build things. Well, you can learn. You can learn. Many of the jobs that are taken by men and immigrants, just so you know, it is very difficult to find a job in the United States that is done just by men, because there are so many immigrants from other countries who don't think the way that we do about manual labor. A lady made a post about the Rockefellers. This lady who used to be a feminist with blue hair, spouting ignorance and the like. And then she was talking about how much she had changed. And then she started talking about the Rockefellers. The Rockefellers are the reason women have to go to work. That was basically her argument. No, there are lots of places in the world where women have to go to work every day for survival. You know what hunter-gatherers did all day? They hunted and fucking gathered for food. They learned how to sew. Man or woman didn't make any difference. You had to hunt. Now, although it is true that in some places there were pottery shards and pieces of pottery and jewelry that were left with women's bodies, and it is true that in some places that swords and spears and, well, not swords, spears and the like were found in a lot of old Stone Age graves, specifically in men's. But then there were also many cultural societies, some of them that lasted for over 40,000 years. Over 40,000 years. Can you imagine that? 40,000 years of basically being culturally the same. Some of these societies, the ones that lasted the longest, well, when somebody was buried, they were buried with the implements that they lived their lives with. Hunting and gathering tools for both men and women. Both genders, that's right. Well, that guy was staring at me something weird. That's right. Now, I don't agree with this young lady's take, simply because I happen to know a lot of women who do work, a lot of women who have worked their entire lives. And before that, well, I've known a lot of women who got old and died, but in their younger years, they had to work till retirement age, same as a man. But then, of course, we want to talk about the golden years of America. The roughly 50 years or so where women did not have to work. It was not essential for survival because we had things like Sears Roebuck catalog. It made it easier to be a stay-at-home mom. We started having standardizations of education where schools were more important than being taught by just your mother anymore. That was the primary educator of a household for a good long while. A lot of people want to pretend like laws preventing women from being able to read here in the United States were prevalent. No, not so much. It was important if a man was out working and building all day doing manual labor stuff that the children still get educated. Whether or not they learn to read or whether that education was something else, none of us were alive back then to tell. But all we have is the words of people who did live back then. And some of them tell differing accounts. Many of them, just as today, are going to be biased. But that's where we try to get to the root of this problem, right? What's the problem? Why is it important enough to write about? Some people think that the only thing that matters is the beauty of the world we live in, and all they take pictures of or draw pictures of or talk about is this beautiful world of ours. But when it's written on paper, same as when you take a picture of it, it's what you care the most about, what's most important to you. Are you one of them folks who takes a lot of pictures of yourself? A whole bunch of selfies of yourself? Some of you, you just love the number of likes that you get. You might get hundreds or even thousands depending on how pretty you are and how popular you are. And then you can spout ignorant stupidity. For a man, it's not so much about a popularity contest for likes. It's a matter of getting heard. When a man takes something to the internet, it's a major fucking problem. A man is more likely to come forward only when it's a fucking serious issue. By the time a guy comes forward about a problem, like it's hit fucking peak, he's done everything that he can alone. And that's the problem. We expect a man to do it alone, to go alone. We expect that all we have to do is be cheerleaders. How have we taught everybody that that's what they're supposed to do and call it support for a man? Why is the man supposed to run the football? Why is the man expected to run the football? Why is he expected to run into other people? To be a fucking grunt, a giant slab of meat wrecking ball? Why is he designed and expected in high school and junior high school and even in the Pee Wee leagues to be this bone crusher on the field? Why is that his only duty? Or the only one he gets recognition for? And then, of course, you try to look for any tiny little flaw you can use to pretend like he's some sort of a horrible person. Oh, it's not that you're superficial. It's not that you're hating on somebody or assuming that they're a bad guy because of the way that they look. How many of you ladies have gone back to the bar the night after getting fucking drunk and taking a look at you, taking a look at the way that you acted? See, we're expected now to cater to certain groups, but not just those certain groups. We're expected to cater specifically to the most narcissistic within those groups. It's white people's fault. There was a black woman, she was large, she was saying it was white people's fault she was fat. There's a white woman who was large. She was blaming men because she's fat. How do you deal with trauma? Does every woman who deals with trauma do so by eating a whole bunch? Some of them do so by not eating at all or throwing it back up. You all know what that stuff is. Men and women tend to have different psychological disorders due to pecking order. Because although a man may seem at first as if he is the dom, well, you should take a look at a lion's pride. The guy just sits back and he's lazy and he's got a bunch of women laying around him, right? They do all the hunting and stuff. Do we have to base who we are and who we want to be based on a particular animal? Can't I just be a person? Can't I just be a person? Without my gender attached, can you see me as a person? Without my skin color attached, can you see me as a person? Can you see how the things that you're complaining about, that when they happen to me, it hurts me too? That when it happens to me, I'm scared too? That when you tell me how much more afraid you have to be than me, that you are just completely wrong? 96% of those killed by police, 96% are male. 60%, last year alone, 60% of those killed by police were homeless. 81% of those incarcerated nationwide were homeless when arrested. They prey on the fact that you have no friends or family and therefore will be easy to railroad. And even if you do have friends or family that might care, well, it's real easy for them to just pull the wool over your eyes or over theirs and prevent you from being able to talk to your friends or family or any sort of support network when you're harmed. You don't stop to see that, but neither does my support network. Like when they want to be angry at me for not doing what they want right when they want it and I'm not capable, what I need from them is actually pretty easy if they would stop talking over me and find out what it is that I need. But they're wanting a quick fucking answer. I give them a quick answer. I can give them a quick answer, but then that turns into them arguing and not understanding why. Because you're all sexist, that's why. All of you are sexist against men. All of you are taught to be and trained to be. That includes Loretta Roberts. That includes Eric Christopher Schwartz. When you only care about a person when it suits you or benefits you, you don't actually care about them. You know, I've been having my own issues. I didn't live an easy life myself, but people don't care about that part. They don't care that I reacted to long-term abuse. Long-term, that's right. It wasn't until that abuse became long-term that I reacted in a way that you guys did not like. When you guys tell me to call the cops, or you tell me to go to my friends, or you tell me to go to family, you're telling me to do all the things I did first. When you're telling me to write it down, you're telling me to do the things I did first. When you're telling me to record it, you're telling me to do things that I didn't know how to do. And then once I did know how to do it, I'd already been railroaded because my friends and family just wanted to procrastinate or play, let's make a deal, now let's trade, let's change the deal. All right, it's time to change the deal again. Oh, by the way, Sean, now that you're out of resources, you've been here too long. Oh, thank you. You're welcome. Adios. My name is Sean. As a male, I understand I'm not allowed to have panic attacks. I'm not allowed to be afraid. When I find my friends dead in an alley, I'm supposed to just carry on like nothing happened, and how dare I cry? Men don't cry. Isn't that what we say? Men don't cry. You say, oh, well, you get used to it, or over time it gets better. No, it doesn't. Are you kidding me? Over time, you just try to numb yourself and you become less and less human. There's less of you that wants to be here, and there's more of you that wants to go on to another place, wherever that place may be. I'm not interested in hurting people. The problem is that that's just not the world we live in. For a homeless person, it's here's a sandwich, but it takes so much more to get out of the issue once you're homeless. When the difference between you becoming homeless or making your rent is $60, and you don't make that $60, and you're out on your backside because you had to trust somebody who owned a place or was able to rent a place, and you do pay your rent faithfully, but if you don't have it, you don't have it. If you've got most of it and all you need is $60 and you make your rent, and your friends are like, you know, I could promise you, and I'm going to promise you, but then I'm going to get a hold of you 3 weeks later and say, oh, well, I got that now. Well, 3 weeks later, it doesn't do any good. If you say you're going to buy a violin tomorrow, but then you go on vacation for 3 weeks, and then you come back and you say, all right, well, where's that violin? Well, funny thing happened. I'm homeless, and since I can't play the violin, it did me no good. I left with the things that I'm still able to use. I still need to use a blanket. So I brought me a blanket with me, you know? People always want to tell you what you should have done, what you should have done. You know, you should have done this and you should have done that. Oh, you mean the things that I'm trying to show you I did? If you'd listen, you'd understand I did. That as a male going in alone, they're going to treat me the same way that you're treating me. Like if you procrastinate long enough, there's no longer a problem. You're fucking nuts. That kind of thinking gets innocent folk killed. You stop to think about the things that come out of your mouth before you say them. I certainly think about the things that come out of mine. The more scared I am, the more of a communication issue I have. And my predators do prey on that, and my friends pretend that because I have a penis, I'm not allowed to be afraid. But that every woman has right and reason to be afraid of me and every other thing with a penis. That it's okay to harm me, and I'm supposed to smile and make merry no matter how many times I'm harmed. I get people who go, oh, you're afraid of a little girl? I'm afraid of all women. All of them. I know that at any point in time, me helping somebody out, getting out of an abusive relationship, the situation could be completely different from what she said. There's women that I've helped out, get them moved out. Turns out the reason they got kicked out is because they were busted with drugs. They were told, hey, no drugs in my fucking house, and I don't want to date a woman who's on drugs. Then he catches her fucking smoking a foilie in the bathroom. Oh, Sean, will you help me move? Yeah. Oh, I was so afraid of him, Sean. I was so afraid. He was yelling and screaming at me. I thought he was going to hit me. Did he hit you? No? You just thought he was gonna? It's tough to know which one to believe in that situation, and I tend to lean towards believing the victim in that case, the person who comes to me and says it. I've had a lot of guys who've come to me about abuse, and I've helped them out of their situation, and we've had to find a way to do it without the police. Not because they were afraid of the police, but because the police wouldn't listen to them and me at the same time. They wanted to separate he and I as if we were being interrogated as criminals. Like, no, I'm there to make sure you don't pull any fucking nasty tricks on them like you do with a female rape victim who goes in alone. Oh, are you sure you didn't ask for it a little bit? Are you sure you didn't give any, signs you might not have known you were showing them? No, that's not okay. It's also not okay to pretend that every man is that man. It's not okay to pretend that every man is that cop who is a useless piece of shit. There's a lot of people I love and care about, but when it comes down to it, there's always an excuse. When it comes to a man who needs help, you make excuses. That's what you're taught to do and trained to do. You're taught to say that you'll do things and then procrastinate. A victim of abuse who's at risk, okay? Let's take a look at this. Those of you women who are cutters, you're going to know exactly what I'm saying here. Why did you cut on yourself? Imagine if you'd have had somebody to help you turn in that issue. Imagine if somebody had heard you the first time you said it instead of you having to be afraid of being talked over. Imagine if you had that. Hey, you see a lot of these women around you that don't have those marks on their arms. That doesn't mean that they didn't go through it. And those boys you see that don't have marks on their arms, that doesn't mean they didn't go through it. They just went through it differently. Is that part of a fucking crack pipe? Jesus Christ. Fucking nasty. Ew. You notice I know all the mean things to say. I know exactly what to say to trigger and piss these people off, same as they know with me. A lot of these, god damn it. A lot of these homeless folks, they complain to me about being sick of being injured and unable to take care of themselves, and people scream at them to get a job, right? And then when they want to be assholes to me, they tell me, get a job. Oh, shit. They know it's hurtful when they do it. And I know I'm being hurtful when I do it back. Woo! Oh, come on now. There we go. Sometimes I end up with people on here who are not nice people. So I make it so that they're not on my channel no more. Sometimes it takes a minute. Hide user on this channel. Boom, it's so easy. You guys want to dismiss everything that we say, like the severe safety risks that we have with being stuck outside. People are far more likely to get violent with a man at night than a woman, just so you know. Violent crimes against men are far more prevalent than violent crimes against women. But then there's those of us who are easy to victimize. And then we're stuck out here all the time. Like you want to have a curfew, right? We got these feminists who want all men to be put on a curfew. What are you going to do with the homeless men? Just lock them up. They're homeless. Obviously, they must be rapey because they're homeless. They're the ugly men that are not good enough for you. No matter how good of people they are, it doesn't matter. Eventually, they get tired of being shat on, and they become creatures of desperation and survival. Just because I love you doesn't mean I owe it to you to take your abuse. Also, I shouldn't have to give you a taste of fucking equality for you to give a shit if you're my friend or family. I shouldn't have to fucking pay you to give a shit. I shouldn't have to pay you to look. And all of your excuses for never trying, those excuses right there alone could change the outcome of every single court date that I ever had. Instead of making excuses not to look, not to try, not to listen. Well, maybe I should do that. Many of these people, you notice, the further it goes along, the more mean I am. The more mean my comments. The more mean-hearted my no, not mean-hearted. If I give them just one day worth of the treatment that I've gotten, that's enough for them to fucking fold. Also, since they're not the one who's targeted by these web wingnut places, of which there are hundreds, well, It doesn't occur to them that the 56 viewers that saw a post where I told the truth and they're pissed off I told the truth. There's 56 viewers. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares that you're a fucking meth dealer. Nobody cared that Ted Bollinger was a fucking meth dealer. They were too busy trying to blame me and castrate me. But guess what? While you guys were talking about how you would kill pedophiles, I was turning them in. That's right. But not just pedophiles. I turned in a lot of sexual predators. Why wasn't I heard? See, when these people realize that ignoring a disabled and homeless man resulted in a lot of deaths, of course, they have every excuse to look the other way out of fear. What will people think? These very same people who tell me I shouldn't care what other people think, these very same people who tell me that they don't care what other people think. No, I know better. I know how to make you hurt the way that you know how to make me hurt. I'm not going to pretend I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't do it to be mean, right? No, it was intended as a learning lesson. But that learning lesson is, hey, when you do that shit to people, it is mean. I'm fucking sorry's don't fix certain things. When somebody has been targeted the way that I've been, you guys want to pretend it's some crazy fucking government conspiracy against Sean. No, it's just individuals who fucked up and individuals who are friends with him don't want their friends getting in trouble. Unfortunately, that reminds me, a lot of people are friends with my predators. A lot of people who are friends of mine are friends with my predators. See, Natalie Bollinger was not the only one to do this shit. Natalie Bollinger didn't go running around pretending I was a fucking child molester. She didn't go running around pretending like I was a rapist. She knew that was an evil thing to do, and that it's not okay to cry wolf. She told a little white lie that she thought would justify the things that she had done, just so that her family would love her more. She didn't bother to think all the fucked up shit that her sister would do. You want to pretend like women don't have this competitive nature. All people have competitive nature. Especially, well, what do they say? All's fair in love and war? How about all's fair in breeding and war? Because that is what it comes down to. Whether you're interested in having kids or not, that physical attractiveness in somebody that's your potential mate, you know, life partner, your girlfriend or boyfriend, whichever you happen to be into. See, I'm not judging you based on who you're attracted to. You be attracted to whoever you want. As long as you ain't touching kids, and as long as it's consensual with another person. Yeah, who's me to say that you can't? Now, an animal cannot give consent. That's just gross. And children, man, they don't even know what those parts are for yet. Why are you messing with them? That's gross. And anybody who defends bestiality or any non-consensual sexual act with a living creature, that's fucking wrong and I'm against it. Your partner has to consent. That is necessary. Now, we were taught as men, before we make a move, we're supposed to ask for permission. But we're also told by dating books not to ask for permission because it's creepy. I don't know how many guys I've seen say to a woman, so you want to go have sex? And heard them say yes. Those are attractive guys. I knew they were attractive guys. Me knowing that a guy is attractive doesn't make me gay. But Even if it did make me gay, I'm still not attracted to them. I understand what it takes to be considered physically attractive. I get to see on my timeline that although men are supposed to be sexual creatures who are only out to get sex, and they're ravenous about it, and it's only about the body and the looks, and then, of course, we're not supposed to tell women what they're supposed to be. Well, we get men are this and men are that. This is what men are. This is what men are supposed to be. This is what a real man is. That's what a real man is. And at the top of the list of almost all of those is purse. Purse. Stability. Financial stability is usually the first on the list. For a lot of women, it's weird to have a traditional working woman because we don't understand a whole lot about that type of culture. We like to reinvent things a lot and then go back to them and pretend like after we've reinvented them that we invented it. Oh, we invented women working. No, we didn't. No, we didn't. There's a lot of countries where you will see women building houses. Why are women building houses if American women are incapable? Oh, I'm not strong enough to do that. You know what? I've seen some pretty small women building houses on some of them National Geographic videos. I've also picked up some pretty fucking heavy logs. I've seen what those women were doing, and yeah, it's on par with what men that are larger than them are doing. There are a lot of places where you have to work for survival, and nobody gives a fuck about your Prada goddamn backpack. A lot of people, the reason they didn't come forward is because they didn't want people to know their secrets or dig up their secrets and use them against them and blah, 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 blah. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody fucking gives a shit. I recorded your words where you talked about being drug dealers, where you talked about doing horrible things to people. Many of the situations that my predators wanted to use to pretend that I was schizophrenic or delusional, the fact that you exist shows that they were fucking wrong about that. Did I ever reach out to Loretta Roberts for help? Yes, I did. Were there any people who offered to help me or promised to help me? Yes, there were. Did they follow through? Some of them tried. Many of them had valid excuses. A lot of them had bullshit excuses. And some of them had a mix of both. Like, oh, somebody died, and then it turns out you're not even in the place where you said that somebody died, and it's not even a family member that died, because you're not at a fucking funeral, you're at a fucking college dorm party and posting about it. And of course, across my news feed, since you're somebody that I was just recently typing with, yeah, it pops up on my news feed that you were full of shit. Maybe you intended on telling the truth. Maybe. Maybe at the very beginning. But then you didn't realize how important it was to actually keep coming forward. Try to get fucking heard. If they don't hear you the first time, try again. They are fucking hurting me. Somebody could have helped me to be able to take screenshots on my phone before Natalie was killed. You know how much good that would have done? I'd have been able to show Natalie or send to anybody else those threats from Tim Beeson as they were happening. For months, just so you know, for months and months he kept this shit up. I'd try to get a hold of a friend or family member before I'd go to Colorado. I wasn't worried about Natalie being there. I thought she was still in Virginia. having her ex-boyfriend Tim Beeson get a hold of me, calling me up and threatening to kill me and my family. And then, of course, there's getting a hold of me on the fucking internet, getting a hold of me on fake accounts, getting a hold of me on his account. And he threatened more than just me with knives. He was trying to show pictures of his knives to say, oh, look how scary I am. Tim Beeson, you would need a knife. You'd need a knife, you'd need a gun, you'd need just about anything that you get your hands on so that you have the balls to even approach me instead of, well, what were these people doing? Being keyboard warriors. Tim Beeson was too much of a bitch to say that shit in person. Now, I went to a house in Boulder. I thought that was his address because he'd sent it to me, and I went there to talk to him like a human being. Turns out it was the wrong house because I'd gone to Boulder instead of Broomfield. I didn't find that out until after Natalie was dead. Somebody sent me Tim Beeson's address. I was like, fuck. And they sent it to me because at the time I had him blocked. One of these web sleuth people found his address in one of the posts. And I was like, fuck yeah. And I hadn't gone back and looked at the email shit that he would sent me. It was basically just him being a fucking doucher. And I did go to my friends and family about that. I did go to the police about it. The police, as always, blew me off, said it's not their job, I need to man up, I need to call somebody else, not their jurisdiction. You know, any fucking excuse. Well, don't you have friends or family members you can go to? Yeah, I went to my friends and family members over this shit. They wanted to push me in 400 different directions and treat me like shit because I didn't have the fucking finances or physical ability to do all the shit they wanted me to do. Oh, I'll help you if you do this. I'll help you if you do that. Of course, I get fatigued so easily. It didn't used to be like that. And then I'm treated like, because I was able to do 30 minutes worth of fucking hard manual labor, that I should be able to do that all day, every day. No, I'm fucking laid up for 3 days after that. Alright. Hopefully my toe is, fucking goddamn it. That felt good. We get to hear about how horrible it is for women out on the streets, but there are so many resources for women out on the streets. That's why there's so few women on the streets compared to men. If a man becomes a statistic, nobody cares, he's expendable. If a woman becomes a statistic out on the streets, well, as long as nobody cares too much about her, nobody's gonna make too big of a stink. Now, if we could make a much bigger stink about all the women out here on the streets, maybe they'd get them off the streets. At least get the women off the streets. At least give them some sort of actual treatment for the ones who have addictions. The problem is you can't give them treatment for addictions unless they have a safe place. That means they're going to have to trust you. And because they've been through a lot, they might blow up at you. If you are asking too many questions while they're trying to explain something, what they're trying to explain to you, there's a reason that's what they're trying to explain to you. And any interruption to that is showing them that they can't trust you. It is a betrayal of your trust. It is a betrayal of your friendship. It shows that they don't care about your body, about your mind, or about your life. If people beat you up and threaten to kill you and your family until you commit suicide, well, who cares? And I've shown you why it is that Natalie did what she did as far as wanting her life to end. Same reason I wanted mine to end. Her fucking family sucks and so does mine. Her fucking junkie friends suck and so do mine. They'd rather get fucked up on drugs and alcohol and fucking get all involved in shit and get their opinions involved. Your opinion matters more than who I really am. And what's your opinion based on? Well, those of you who know me in real life, afterwards, when Natalie disappeared, you pretended like I was some sort of a monster, most of you. Disappeared right away. And then after Natalie was killed, you didn't want to admit that you were wrong. Figured you'd just hide in the darkness. Hide in the darkness. How theatrical. You figured you'd just ignore all the abuse against me and pretend like because you ignored me, you didn't know nothing, and it makes it fine, you're an innocent victim in all this. No, you're not. You had every chance and opportunity to actually care. How many of you wanted to throw piddly shit that you'd done for me in the past in my face? You go, oh, well, how dare you call it piddly shit? Find my shoe thing. Well, it is piddly shit. Between $50, 6 months after you should have spoken up, and you speaking up, I'd rather you spoke up. Between throwing it in my face, a year and a half after you sent me $50, that you sent me $50, why am I still homeless? Well, because I'm still being abused because you still don't give a shit. Oh, I sent you $50. No, that's not help. You speaking up and helping me to put a stop to this could do something about a massive fucking hemorrhaging of fucking finances because I have no resources and not enough resources to get the resources I need. And the things that you tell me to go do, I already did, but I had to do by myself. And that's the fucking problem. I'm less likely to get heard, so I have to have another person who cares, who actually cares. Leading me on for 6 years that you give a shit and literally not lifting a goddamn finger to help put a stop to the abuse that I endure every fucking day. What the hell is wrong with you claiming to be a friend? Hell no.